everybody. Welcome back to the Incubator Podcast. We're back today for another episode of Journal Club. Daphna, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. And I just found this incubator pen on my bedside
Which
my
one?
desk. This one, our favorite. Is that in
Oh,
the store?
no, that's not in the store.
I'm not meaning to pitch the store this often, but I really love this pen.
This pen is really good. That's a pen that we gave out at Delphi last year. It's a good pen. Mine is probably here.
Maybe we'll give them out at Delphi this year.
We have a plan to give more pens at Delphi this year, and
maybe if you find us at some other conferences.
yeah, if you find us at other conferences, we have. There is mine. There you go. You see.
Yeah. There it is.
Um,
And you're a pen guy, okay? So when I say, "Oh, I really like a pen," people might be like, "Oh, Daphna likes all the pens."
We have pencils. We have Incubator branded pencils. We have Incubator branded Sharpies, and we tend to give those out at conferences. So if you find us at the next conference, I mean, right now, if you come to the next conference is Delphi. I believe after that we'll be at Cool Topics is right immediately next one. So we usually give them out. I made a mistake last time at Hot Topics. I put out too much of the swag, and then before I could even finish setting up the booth, they were all gone.
Amateur.
Very amateurish on my part. Anyway, and it was funny because I was there with Michael, our sound engineer, and he was like, "I hope you were not hoping to sell those because they're gone." I was like, "No, we were giving them out." But
We were giving them out. We just thought they would last longer.
yeah, I would. Yeah. I didn't think that we were going to get rated. So that was funny. All right, we're here for another episode of Journal Club, and I have a very interesting paper, kind of following in your footsteps from yesterday. It's a paper I found in the Archives of Disease in Childhood in Fetal Neonatal Edition. It's coming out of Norway. The first author is Onlog Vatna. Rooney, if I'm mispronouncing, let me know. It's called Serial Physical Examination to Reduce Unnecessary Antibiotic Exposure in Newborn Infants, a Population Study. The introduction talks a little bit about what we said yesterday, right? So, the initial clinical signs of neonatal early-onset sepsis, defined as sepsis within the first 3 days of life, are often subtle. If they're not subtle, you don't need our help. Like you will, you don't need us for that. But they can mimic other neonatal conditions such as delayed or prolonged cardiopulmonary transition, and we don't really have good lab tests that can help us with high sensitivity, high specificity. Again, we were talking about CRP yesterday, and we don't really have the test that we need. So these diagnostic challenges are addressed in the 2018 American Academy of Pediatric Guideline and in the Swiss Network's recommendation, with the latter suggesting the use of serial physical examination for enhanced clinical observation or continuous monitoring every hour in the NICU to identify infants with suspected early-onset sepsis. Other approach include risk stratification using sepsis risk calculators or algorithms based on the presence or absence of maternal risk factors. The clinical implementation of these different approaches has resulted in contemporary antibiotic exposure in term infants, defined as those born at a gestational age of 37 weeks or greater, and late preterm infants for 34 weeks to 36 and 6, in high-income countries ranging between 1.2 to 12%. So just for comparison, yesterday we were talking about babies with HIE who give us a lot more anxiety. So we were talking about numbers like 92%, if I remember correctly, yesterday. But for your run-of-the-mill admission with a little bit of TTN and some of these things, we're talking about 1.2 to 12%. And they're making the point that we made yesterday, which is where I got this sort of epiphany. The exposure is disproportionately high compared to the incidence. Culture positive early onset sepsis ranges from 0.3 to 0.73 cases per 1,000 live born term and late preterm infants. So this study comes in this particular context. Building on previous finding, serial physical examination was previously tested shown to be safe, including in late preterm infant, supporting the inclusion of infants born at about 34 weeks or greater. And within the framework of the Quality Improvement Project, the aim of the study was to evaluate whether serial physical exams could reduce antibiotic exposures for this infant. So did they do it? Did they jeopardize the lives of babies? Study setting. So this is conducted in 6 hospitals across all 4 Norwegian health trusts, and that covers about 25% of the birth cohort in Norway. This was a multi-center, population-based interventional study evaluating the effect of this new approach, serial physical examination, in the NICU for all inborn infants with a gestational age of 34 weeks or greater who were suspected to be at risk of early-onset sepsis. All live-born infants were included, including all infants who received antibiotic for suspected early-onset sepsis in their respective geographical areas. Infants at risk of early-onset sepsis were defined as infants who had mild or transient clinical signs of possible sepsis, or infants born to mothers who had clinical chorioamnionitis, or infants with a sibling who had GBS sepsis, infants who received antibiotic prophylactically as part of the National Protocol for Therapeutic Hypothermia were excluded, kind of like the patients we were talking about yesterday, as well as infants with congenital heart disease or neurological malformations in need of surgery. So what does that mean that they did this serial physical exam? So infants appearing well at birth remained with their mothers in the nursery. Infants with clinical signs were promptly admitted to the NICU. These infants were exposed to chorio or had siblings with history of GBS sepsis, were admitted within the first 2 hours of life. All infants in the nursery were monitored according to standard practicing, screening vital signs, oxygen saturation at 2 to 4 hours of age. Further assessment were performed in infants at risk of infection, infants with initial screening or who develop clinical signs of sepsis or infection during their stay. Infants identified as being at risk were admitted to the NICU for structured serial physical exams, vital signs hourly for the first 48 hours. Full sets of vitals were obtained every hour except blood pressure, which was obtained only when cap refill time exceeded 3 seconds. Continuous pulse ox was used, skin to skin was encouraged, and parents were welcome to accompany their newborn in the NICU. Antibiotics were administered without delay if clinical signs indicated severe sepsis or shock, if the clinical condition deteriorated despite corrective action, or if vital signs did not improve over time. The decision to initiate antibiotics were made by the team in agreement with the consultant neonatologist or pediatric consultant. So the baseline period extended from 2018 to 2019, post-implementation 2020 to 2021. And IV antibiotics was basically IV antibiotics for early-onset sepsis. Culture-negative sepsis was defined using the International Classification of Disease 10, ICD-10, and the Norwegian Pediatric Association, looking at clinical signs of infection, C-reactive protein levels, duration of antibiotic, exclusion of other stuff, etc. Okay, so did this pan out? The total of 54,713 live-born infants with gestational age of 34 weeks or greater were included. Of these, 27,385 infants were born during the baseline period, and then 27,328 during the post-implementation period. Looking at antibiotic exposure, after the implementation of serial physical exams, the percentage of infants receiving antibiotics was reduced by 50%. Antibiotic exposure decreased from 1.8% with a 95% confidence interval going from 1.6 to 2, and it went down from 1.8% to 0.9% when comparing each year. When comparing baseline with post-implementation period, antibiotic exposure decreased from 1.7% to 0.9%. The number of infants receiving prophylactic antibiotics remained unchanged, with 22 infants in 2018, 26 infants in 2020, and 25 infants in, 22 infants in 2018, 24 in 2019, 26 in 2020, 25 in 2021 with a p-value of 0.9. The percentage of antibiotics of infants receiving antibiotics for any reason, including prophylactic and empirical, was 1.9%, 1.8%, etc. So the point they're trying to make here is that it's not like their entire system shifted. The kids who were supposed to receive prophylactic antibiotics, kind of like the babies with HIE, they continue to get it. Like there was not a shift, a big shift in their approach. So this basically hints at the fact that the reduction by 50% in early onset sepsis antibiotic exposure was most likely due to their intervention. And then the follow-up question is, that they have more early onset sepsis. The incidence of culture positive early onset sepsis was 0.4 per 1,000 live-born infant, and there was a decrease in culture negative early onset sepsis observed from 0.01 to I'm sorry, with a that was observed. I don't have the exact data, but it was statistically significant. Neonatal intensive care unit admission rate and time to antibiotic administration remained unchanged. There were no infection-related deaths. There were no readmission for infection within 14 days. The conclusion are that the implementation of serial physical examination for suspected early onset sepsis in 6 Norwegian NICUs, including more than 50,000 infants born after 34 weeks, reduced antibiotic exposure in the first 3 days of life by 50%. Serial physical examination represents a safe and effective strategy to reduce unnecessary antibiotic exposure in term and late preterm infants at risk of early onset sepsis. They say more studies are needed. I don't know. This is pretty convincing. Maybe the answer to this solution has always been this: just better eyes on our patients.
Spend more time at the
Yeah,
bedside.
right. How fascinating is that?
I love that. I mean, isn't that just the crux of medical care as we were taught to be observe and monitor and watch our patients?
You now have joined the faculty teaching principles of medicine
That's right.
at the medical school, where we teach medical students a lot of things
Yeah.
related to physical examination, and it is, like you said, it is the core of our practice is assessing a patient at the bedside and making a decision.
Yeah, I actually love that, but it's a reminder that how many of our administrative tasks, our EMR tasks, all of this stuff is taking us away from making these decisions. And I mean, and to the credit of all of our colleagues, I think if you don't have a lot of time to assess the baby, then you feel like, well, better put them on the antibiotics. So I won't be able to assess them. I think about other units. We are always in house. So, we have that luxury of being able to reassess and assess with a trained eye multiple times a patient. So it's interesting taking us back to our principles, but easier said than done in today's modern medicine.
But I'm sorry, I'm going to push back on that. When you were a resident and you were on the floors, we had this. Like, there were patients that were there for serial exams, and I would
For
remember
sure.
I would go every couple of hours and do an
Yeah, like the kids
assessment.
with asthma, you were doing every hour
Right, we would do
sometimes.
these
Yeah.
respi checks, and then you would
Yeah.
do, but like patients um, with abdominal pain, and you would say, okay, let's
Sure.
just reassess. You would do, like, it's how we were trained, and somehow we get to the NICU and this gets lost when it shouldn't. And again, I
Yeah,
think
when the babies are even more
it has
critical.
to do with our load. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to point you to the section on neonatal and perinatal medicine to look at the neonatal staffing toolkit,
And
because
that will segue nicely into my,
your next paper tomorrow.
article tomorrow. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so then we'll do that. But yeah, I mean, it's not an excuse to say, "Oh, we're stretched so thin." It's like, well, then maybe that's a problem, because
Yeah.
every time I have parents who push back on antibiotics, not push back, they're like, "Okay, what are the risks of giving these antibiotics?"
Mm.
Like, like, it's never fun to explain ototoxicity and
Yeah.
nephrotoxicity and then tell them, "Oh, but
It's
it's
real hard to
okay."
convince them after that.
Right? Because it's not benign, and they
And they
would
say, "How
be
sure are you that my baby has an infection?"
0.3%. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah. It's not, I think these discussions are always helpful for us as physicians, because they put us back in front of the reality of the data. Um, and it's hard. It's hard. So if there's an alternative, can you imagine if you had to get a consent and you said, we have this medication that can potentially impair hearing, that can have n- kidney damage, or if I check on your baby every couple of hours and everything is okay, then we can avoid it altogether. It's like, well, it's not going to be a tough decision for anyone.
For sure, for sure. What I also am taking away is when some of our team members say, "Dr. Barbeau, why have you pulled that chair up by the baby's bedside? We don't want you right here all the time." I can say, "Well, in this paper, they said that I could do this, sit by the bedside
I don't
and
know.
watch the
I don't know
baby."
if pulling the paper is gonna do
Is
much
that
good for
not the
you.
right takeaway?
It is the right takeaway. It is the right takeaway. I have to mention for the audience that the staff members in our NICU are a little bit concerned when you pull the chairs, because ideas come to you. and then you sit there and you're like, what if we
What
got
we
this test? So, but I think
no,
that
we've got a
that
good
was
team. We've
really
got a good team.
something, like, I think people have learned to appreciate how dedicated you are. So I think this is no longer
Or at least
something
to
that I
pay
hear.
attention to the babies, of which I am sitting at their bedside.
Correct. All right, Daphne, we're gonna stop schmoozing.
Okay,
I'll see you tomorrow for another
sounds
episode.
good. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.